Welcome back to Off the Carousel here on the field of 68. We are here today with Ryan Odom, head coach of VCU. Ryan, it's a pleasure to be with you this afternoon, my friend. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. Hope you're well.
Of course, I'm doing great. So let's talk about your journey here. I've got some questions for you about this upcoming season at VCU. But first, I want to start with your journey through your coaching career because I think there's a lot of people who would recognize you from the big moment, the 16 seed win over the 1 seed, the first 16 seed over a 1 seed. Now we have to
Yeah.
clarify
It's
that
cool. It's cool to
now that
say
it
that
happened
now,
this
right?
year. Right, exactly. You set the
Yeah.
trend. So this year, when we had Fairleigh Dickinson's upset, right? We had the big moment of Tobin Anderson going viral with the video
Yeah.
saying, the more I watch him, the more I think we can beat him. We never had a viral locker room moment from you. Were you saying the same motivational things to your team before that win?
I think, behind closed doors maybe, but not quite as aggressively maybe as coach. But he obviously he and his team did an amazing job this year. I mean, the whole world watched it, and it's what college basketball is all about. The upset and March Madness is so fun. And you remember, it's one of those moments you remember exactly where you were when you were watching it.
Of course, yeah. I was on my living room couch for the record when UMBC
Yeah.
defeated Virginia. So does it feel when that happens as a head coach? Oh, there's only two guys in the world who would know this feeling at this point, and you're one of them. Does it feel like your entire life has changed overnight when that happens?
I don't think you're necessarily thinking about that at that particular moment, because you're walking down to shake the other coach's hand, and then you end up, getting back into the locker room with your team, and then it kind of sets in. You're like, oh my gosh, the media just comes right into your locker room. You're having to do all these, interviews. You're being pulled in a lot of different directions. And so, certainly from that perspective, once you've talked to the team and you've celebrated there, then it's like, okay, the levity sets in, and it's just, it's an amazing feeling. I'm really happy that Fairleigh Dickinson was able to experience that joy. We certainly did at UMBC, and others have in other ways, not 16 over one, but certainly the big upsets. It does change your life in a lot of respects. But what we've come to appreciate is that it's not just our moment, right? It's anybody that loves college basketball's moment. They enjoy it, and we'll always remember it.
Yeah, absolutely. A place in everybody's hearts, except for maybe Tony Bennett, but he got his revenge next season.
He
So
did, yeah, no
it
doubt,
works
no
out.
doubt. Yeah, it totally worked out, for them. And as it happens in sports, you have to go through tough times in order to get where you want to go. And when you're passionate about what you do, clearly Coach Bennett and his staff and the players were passionate about what they wanted to accomplish, and they did it.
Right. So after the success at UMBC, I mean the season with the win obviously is huge, and you guys make the headlines. You're on the map. Everybody knows the Retrievers now. How hard was it in the years following that at UMBC to try and replicate that success? Did you feel any added pressure that wasn't there before?
No, I mean, certainly there was more pressure and more eyes on you, and you put pressure on yourself too. But from my perspective and what I tried to tell our team year in and year out was, we'll never be able to do over again what happened, right? There's only one first. And that happened to be that particular UMBC. So we weren't trying to, create that same moment. Our responsibility going forward was to create new and exciting moments. And that was the message year in and year out. And certainly that year after the Virginia win, that was totally the message. And we had a lot of new faces and guys that had a lot of pressure on them that weren't even in that game.
Mhm.
And they were getting everybody else's best shot each and every day that we played and tipped it up, and they handled it extremely well.
So from there in 2021, you moved to Utah State. And I can imagine probably a different set of challenges at Utah State in the Mountain West than you may have had prior to that at UMBC, where
Yeah.
the Mountain West Conference is really emerging as one of the elite mid-major conferences in the sport. What was that like as the competition level raised, and how'd you navigate staying competitive and building what you did at Utah State?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I'm really thankful for the folks at Utah State, John Hartwell in particular, and his confidence in me and bringing our staff out there, to coach their team. The first thing you notice at Utah State is a tradition of excellence that has existed there forever, and it's a great college basketball program. The fans, and specifically the herd and the basketball team, are intimately connected. And so I'd always wanted to be at a place, that was like that, where, basketball was, a focal point of the university. And it certainly was the case, when we got there. And the other thing that I noticed immediately was the maturity level of the guys, that we inherited there at Utah State. And then also some really good young players to develop and work with. The Mountain West is one of the best conferences in the country. We were challenged night in and night out, by the likes of San Diego State, Colorado State, Nevada. I mean, you name it, you can keep going. Wyoming, had great teams. Fresno State, UNLV. I mean, it's really, really awesome league, and you have to play really well to be competitive within that league. And certainly our first year, we had some really positive signs, that we were going to be, pretty good. And, we lost some really tough games. We lost 7 games by 2 points or less during that season. And so that motivated the guys going into last season. We had everybody back, minus Justin Bean, who was an all-conference player for us, and Brandon Horvath and Brock Miller. But we had added some good pieces as well. And so we felt confident that we could, impact the Mountain West, and our guys did a great job all season. The fans were tremendous, and we were challenged each and every game. And we had to play 7. I was telling the team and the staff, like, we had to play about 7 bubble games down the stretch just to stay in the conversation. And we were able to do it and come out, victorious in the majority of those games until that last game in the championship game against San Diego State. And, that set us up for the NCAA tournament. My only regret is that we didn't play better, in that NCAA tournament game, but Missouri was lights out that game.
They sure were. And I can tell you, I'm a Midwest guy, but Eastern time zone here. One of my favorite pastimes in the last few years has been staying up late at night to watch the late Mountain West Conference tips. So you were
That's
certainly
right.
a part of plenty of those, and I took a liking to your team, particularly last season, with how great you guys were offensively. So you mentioned San Diego State. Obviously, they have the run to the national championship game. When you watch something like that unfold with a team you're so familiar with, is there any extra, like, just motivation there? Are you almost rooting for them because it's like, hey, if they
Totally.
can do it, we can do it? What was that like?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a little bit of that with the UMBC thing, right? You see something like that happen, and then others that are at that level, that's something that they can aspire to do. And, certainly Coach Dutcher and his staff always do a great job. One of the best coaches in the country. And we really thoroughly enjoyed competing against them, each and every game that we played them this year. We played them 3 times. They got the better of us in each game. They were all tight games. And, I think, as you look at it, and transitioning to VCU and what we have going here, it certainly motivates us. I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but right behind, you got Final Four right there in the, in our practice facility here. And so the expectation is to win, here at VCU. And so, watching San Diego State and watching a Florida Atlantic who did amazing, and even in our own league, Loyola Chicago making the Final Four, and George Mason as well. We want to get back there, and we want to compete for a national championship. I told the team that the other day in the first meeting. That's why I'm here. I'm not here because it's home and it's comfort. I'm here because I want to win a national championship, and I believe we can do that at VCU.
Yeah, so I think you just answered my next question here, but I want to ask, and maybe you'll expand upon this. But I mean, now you are at a program like that is associated as one of the most successful at your level in the entire sport. They've had the success before, they've had continued success since the big Final Four run, and now here you are to hopefully take them to another level further. What appealed to you most about this job at this time? Because Utah State, I mean, you had Utah State humming. It was a great season
Yeah.
last year. So to move from there to here, what was it about now that made this the right moment?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you put everything together, the totality of the opportunity, right? And I view it more as a responsibility because of the tradition of excellence that exists here. That's really the first thing when you view it that way. Tradition of excellence. I think we're 11th all time, VCU is in winning percentage, which is pretty impressive, when you think about all the storied programs that are out there, and been to a Final Four, recent Final Four in 2011, and had continued success. Last year's team wins the Atlantic 10, wins the regular season, and also the conference tournament. And the next step for us is to get back to that dance again, and then continue to advance. And so, I'm really proud to be the coach here. I understand what it means to be the coach here at this tremendous university. The university has grown with the city of Richmond and is intimately connected with the city of Richmond. The location where we are, there's tremendous talent all around us. You can go up to DC and beyond. You can go south towards North Carolina, which is a tradition-rich place. You obviously in our own state. You can go west. Great players from the western part of our state and the eastern part of our state as well, which we're so close to. And so when you put all of that together and then you add in a rabid fan base, a fan base that loves their players and loves the program and wants nothing more than to win at the highest level, it was an easy decision for me. And I'm excited to be here. I'm very fortunate to have the guys that we have. We've got multiple folks that have come from Utah State back east with us. And then we've also added, former players that played here at VCU, and Bradford Burgess and Darius Theus, both played in that Final Four, and they know what it means to be a Ram, and they helped build this place right here.
Yeah, it's got to be special, I'm sure. Rams fans have got to be loving exactly what you're building here. So you mentioned the talent-rich area that you now call home here in Richmond. You pulled 3 guys that are Richmond natives this offseason: Joe
Yeah.
Bamisile, Roosevelt Wheeler, Jason Nelson. How did that come together? And talk about what you're expecting impact-wise from that group.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important for us to be able to recruit here locally, and certainly Richmond has always had big time talent, right here in our city. And we're not going to be able to keep every player home. There's a lot of great schools out there, and sometimes kids grow up and they want to get away from home, at times. But what I do know is that we have all of the tools and the facilities in place to keep guys home. We have what you're looking at right now, the BDC. I've been to a lot of different places, over the course of my coaching career. There's not any better than this one. The Siegel Center right across the street, where we play each and every game is packed every game. We had 100 straight sellouts, here at VCU. I mean, it's just a really impressive setup. And when you talk about those 3 guys, they've had their own journeys, and they each in their own way really match how we coach. And Roosevelt obviously went away initially, and to have him come back from Louisville, is really exciting. I know his mom and his family and everybody's excited to have him back. Jay Nell coming over from U of R, obviously redshirted his freshman year, but then played really well last year for them. I know he's excited, to be here at VCU, and will be a contributor for us as well. And then Joe Bamisile, he's played right in this league, at GW and put up some buckets. And so, we're really fortunate that, those three guys in particular, showed the confidence in our staff to come back home with us.
So you've had a lot of very good teams in your coaching career, but one thing that jumps out at me as I was looking further into some of the specific seasons you've done it a lot of different ways. Like you've played up tempo, you've played slow in the half court, you've had great offenses, you've had great defenses. What is the common thread about how you want to coach the game of basketball and how you're going to coach it at VCU?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we want to play fast, right? We want to get into our offense as quickly as we can while not overdoing it and playing at such a pace that's too fast for us. And each team has that we've been fortunate enough to coach has to figure that out as the year goes on. And you obviously want to figure it out before you get to your first game, but the games will tell you, okay, maybe we're turning it over at a really high rate. We've got to pull them back a little bit and slow it down. When you see the slower teams that I've had, that's been one of the reasons, that or lack of shooting or whatever. And so, for us, here at VCU, we still want to play extremely fast. I played for a coach named Tony Shaver at Hampton-Sydney College, and he played for Dean Smith back when Phil Ford played. And all they did was press and trap and play that havoc style defense that has existed here, at VCU over the years under Shaka and other coaches after him. And certainly that's something that I know well. We will have different types of players here at VCU and the ability to recruit different players where we can play a little bit more aggressively on defense. But the offensive style of play, while the plays sometimes change, the way that we play doesn't. And one of the things that we hope when you watch our teams play that you notice right away is that we're really unselfish and that we pass the ball. And so we're constantly coaching our guys on that and being as efficient as we can. The best teams in college basketball are balanced on both sides. And so that's something that we aspire to be each and every year, regardless of the style that we're playing.
Yeah, I think it speaks to the I guess the level of your capabilities as a coach and as a staff that you've had success doing it different stylistically, because that's not always the case. From a lot of the coaches I've talked to, it's, hey, this is the way I'm always going to play, and I'm going to find personnel that needs to play that way. You've adapted really nicely to your personnel, and I give you a lot of credit for it. So
Yeah,
this is
thank
a
you.
question. It's a question I always ask, and I've gotten wildly different answers. And it's a hard
Mhm.
question to answer, I think, especially for a coach in his first year at a new program. But um, what would be a success in year one? Because sometimes I get answers of guys that are taking over programs that just need a total culture reset, and that's what they're focused on. You're entering a program that just won championships last season. What's a success in year one at VCU?
Yeah, I mean, our job is to merge two worlds, right? We've coached at Utah State / UMBC, Lenore Ryan, and each time, maybe not Lenore Ryan to UMBC, but UMBC to Utah State, there's been a player or two that have come with us, and we've got two, that are coming with us from Utah State that understand kind of how we do things. And Sean Bairstow and Max Scholga, they're two really good players. I mean, they started every game for us last year, at Utah State. And so, I think that helps, for the other players. Our biggest challenge this year is going to be merging all the different players from different places, because we had nine, we had to sign nine guys basically, this coming year. And that's not easy to do. It's not something that we want to do year in and year out. And so, I don't ever set, obviously we have goals every year, but the biggest thing for us is for our guys to maximize their individual potential and their team potential. And wherever that ends up, as long as we're doing our best, then we're going to be okay with the results, because we know that we put every ounce of effort, focus, intensity into having the best season possible for not only our team, but for our fans and university. And, we certainly understand, that might not always match up with what a fan wants, right? And we're okay with that. That's what we all signed up for. But my goal is for us to maximize our potential every single year. And if you're the coach at VCU, it just comes with the territory. You're supposed to compete for championships, and you're supposed to advance in the NCAA tournament. And that's something that I'm not afraid of. That it is what it is, right? I know what I've signed up for, and so it's my job to make sure that everybody in our program goes after it.
Yep. If I had to guess, I don't think you'll have too much problem continuing to compete for championships here at VCU. So I'll leave you with a fun one, Coach. What's your favorite spot to eat in Richmond? Whether it's on
Oh my
campus,
gosh.
whether it's off
You
campus.
might get me in trouble with this one because I'll tell you the best place to eat is our chef Jen right in here in our BDC. She cooks for our guys every day. So they get off the court and then they go right up there and she's cooking it up, dialing it in for us. If I go off campus, I've got a place called Stella's that I go to, which is tremendous. It's authentic. Anybody in Richmond knows about it because they're all over the place. But
what's
I
what's
haven't
the
had
order at Stella's? What's the order at Stella's?
Yeah, so you can get anything you. It's incredible food. It's actually a Greek authentic restaurant, but they have like Greek pasta with like feta in it, and it's massive. That's probably a little bit too aggressive for me, but you get a Greek salad, an authentic Greek salad with blackened chicken, and you'll thank me later.
Done deal. Hey, I made a homemade Greek chicken salad for the wife and I last night, and
There you go.
probably doesn't compare, but I'm signed up. I like that order. All right, I didn't tell you this either. I got some family in Richmond though, so I may come
Okay.
harass you. Maybe I'll see if I can take you out to get a salad the next time I'm down there. We'll
Yeah.
see. Well, maybe
Do
get
it.
that
Do
jersey
it.
you talked about to me. We'll see.
Yeah, there we go. We could hook you up. We got it done.
I love it. All right. Well, Ryan, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Good luck in your first season. I'm sure you're going to have continued success as you have every stop you've had in your career. And from the field of 68, we'll be watching, and we wish you the best of luck.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on. Take care.
Our partner for today's episode is Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 during the college basketball season, and I loved the impact that it had on my energy levels. I'm a big coffee in the morning guy, but by the time that the afternoon would hit, I needed another boost. AG1 helped me tremendously, especially on those days when I didn't want to get up off the couch and go hit the gym. Their tagline is AG1 is comprehensive health and the power of habit in one. And man, that could not be more true. It's nearly impossible to eat and drink in a healthy manner in the month of February and the month of March when you are in my business. And AG1 was exactly the supplement that I needed to improve my gut health and cover my nutritional basis for the day. I've continued that into April. I've continued that into May, and I'm going to continue that the rest of the summer. All I have to do is mix a scoop of AG1 with some water or maybe add it into a smoothie, and I'm ready to go. Do it after lunch, and you'll be ready to go for the rest of the day. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/field68. That's field 68 FIELD, the number 6, the number 8, and you can get yours now. So check it out and help support this show. Thanks.